Now recognize the gentleman from California, Dr. Ruiz.
Thank you very much. I'm an emergency medicine physician. I work in the emergency department and have treated many patients and also many uninsured patients. I just want to cut to the chase and get to the effects of a growing population that are uninsured onto the healthcare system. Mrs. Bordeaux, you said in your testimony that hospital pricing is a part of increasing costs. Mr. Markovich, what does a growing population in the millions of uninsured patients do to a hospital for uncompensated care?
Well, that's the dynamic is that people then, by law, hospitals have to accept patients that come to the emergency room, irrespective of whether they have insurance or not. And then typically what happens is they don't get reimbursed, or they get reimbursed very little for that care. And then they're generally increasing or looking to find that revenue from other sources. And so it has
what sources do they
come back to the plans and negotiate higher reimbursement.
So they negotiate high reimbursements from the plan. And what does the plan then do in preparation for that?
Well, I mean, we do our best to keep the rates as low as we possibly can.
You do your best, but
I mean, there's just many circumstances in which, in order to serve a population and provide access, you have to have these hospitals in the network, and you end up raising your prices.
So in other words, you raise the prices for premiums, is what you just said.
Yep.
Okay. And what happens to the individual who is uninsured? They no longer seek care. They can't afford the care. What happens to them in their health outcomes?
Well, there's been studies on this. Their life expectancy tends to be lower. They tend to delay health care.
So they die earlier, you're saying?
They die earlier, and they generally aren't in as good health.
So they're sicker. And when they get sick, where do they go? Do they see a primary care doctor, or where's their safety net? Do they go the uninsured?
Excuse me, Congressman. They go to the emergency room typically.
They go to the emergency department. The emergency department is one of the higher costs places to get care, or the lower cost to get care?
Higher.
Higher cost. So they go to the hospital, higher cost, they're sicker, the hospital gets uncompensated care, they're negotiating higher prices so they can keep their doors open, and so you're increasing premiums, okay? Now, I just want to make this point clear because the Republicans just passed the big ugly law, right, that cuts Medicaid up to $1 trillion. It's going to leave 15 million people uninsured. But they said, no, it's not going to affect anybody. We're only going to try to get those that are scamming the system by creating overburdened administrative requirements. But we've argued all along that doing that's going to raise costs for everybody. And we just made the link that the uninsured population becomes uncompensated care, strains hospitals. They have to keep their doors open. They're going to put pressure on all of you during negotiations, and you will increase premiums. Do you agree, Cordani? Mr. Cordani?
Congressman, the phenomenon you described is correct.
Do you agree, Mrs. Bordeaux?
The phenomenon that you described is important, but I think
Do you agree, Mr. Joyner?
I agree.
Do you agree, Mr. Hensley? Every single health insurance people here is stating that because of the 15 million uncompensated care produced by the Republican big ugly law, that everybody else's premium is going up. And this uncompensated care is going to cost hospitals $400 billion. Okay? In addition to that, this big ugly law reduced revenues to hospitals by over $600 billion. So costs are going up by $450 billion, and the revenue has gone down by over more than $600 billion. That's about a net loss of over $1 trillion for just hospitals alone, in addition to the nearly $1 trillion cuts to Medicaid. The big issue here is the healthcare crisis that Republicans have created that is cut Medicaid in order to give billions in tax cuts to billionaires, and it's raising premiums across the board for all of those who have your insurance. And I yield back.